Well, I just got a new video camera, so I decided I'd start doing a few video blogs. So here's the first one. So the last couple days I've been working on the HQX and the Scale X algorithms for scaling the video on the high def NES adapter. So far I have HQ2X, 3X, 4X, Scale 2X, Scale 3X, and Nearest Neighbor done. So I will demonstrate them shortly and probably post some more videos of that. So right now I can, after fighting for a couple hours, I can actually tell this thing to change the mode and it will do it. It's not working through the menu yet, it's working through my little interface program, and I'll probably show a close-up of that. Since this is my first video, I'm probably not going to have a lot of nice things like on EEB blog where I show what the screen looks like or things like that, because I'm still getting this all to work and you know how it goes. Also, my capture card can't capture at 1080p, so I can't actually capture what the 4X HQX looks like, but it looks real awesome. I think it does. Some people think that the HQX is a blasphemy and they like the big Lego mode, and I can see that. I kind of like the Lego mode too, but after using the HQX scalers for a while, I actually kind of like them now too. So obviously I'll have the option of having both in there, so you're not going to have to choose if you want it or not. I mean, you can just turn it on off in the menu. It's not going to be in there all the time. So also I need to re-add bilinear interpolation. I had that, but I took it out because I didn't have enough room. So now it's back in there, and I guess I can zoom in on the video and change the scalars and show how all that works. Now that the scalars are pretty much done, I'll hopefully finish that up tonight, and then I'll start working on audio again. And I discovered something very interesting about this chip I'm using. Maybe I'll go through that first a little bit. I'm using a Altera Cyclone 3 EP3C5, which is the smallest Cyclone 3 that they make. And I was looking at it, and my chip is now about 98% full with the HQX scaler, and I had to take audio out because it wouldn't fit. And I was going to buy some new FPGAs that are twice as big, the EP3C10. This is the EP3C5, so it's only half the size. And I got looking at it, and I was looking at the chip viewer, and it says that the chip's about half full. And then I was reading up about it, come to find out it looks like the 5 and the 10 are the same chip, and they just mark it different and don't test all of it. So what I did is I told Cordis that yes, I am using the 10, and I compiled, and sure enough, the damn thing works. So obviously you don't want to do this for production, but for prototypes this is fine. So now I put audio back in, so now I have scaling and audio both working at the same time. So there's some audio right there. And so yeah, so tonight I'll get the scalars done, and then I will start working on all the expanded audio chips, because this thing's going to have, let's see if I remember them all, FDS, MMC5, VRC6, VRC7, N106, Sunsoft 5B, aka FME-7, and obviously the regular Nintendo channels. And the regular Nintendo channels are working just fine. DPCM is working. I had to do a little trick to get that to work, so that's working now. Let's see here. I guess I'll zoom in on the video, and then I will change the scalar modes, and hopefully through the magic of YouTube you can see what it looks like. Okay, it's really zoomed in. You can see that now. This is nearest neighbor scaling. So now I will change it to HQ2X. So this is HQ2X, and then I can change it to HQ3X, HQ4X, and then Scale 2X, Scale 3X, and that's all I got. And here I'll go back to nearest neighbor. There's your raw NES output right there. So I'll turn on the scale 3x from here and you can see the difference, how everything looks all nice and rounded now. I know some people think that's a blasphemy, but I think it's actually pretty nice. So, and it takes a little bit, it takes about a quarter of a second to change the mode so you can see the graphics look kind of funny when it's doing that, but obviously that's just while it's loading the new data. So that was quite of an accomplishment. It took all night just to get this part to work where I can load the new things, but now that that's done, that code's going to be used elsewhere, so that'll make life a lot easier. So that's that, and I can show off the... So just to prove that this is actually HD, I will hit the button right here, and there it says HDMI 1080p. Once I added audio, it was kind of strange because it went from saying 1920 by 1080 60 hertz, now it just says 1080p, which I think is kind of silly, but hey, that's the this monitor for it. This monitor's kind of crappy, and to get audio out of this monitor, it is plugged in the side right here. Let's see that. So going down to these speakers. And no, the audio is not being used coming out of this NES. It's just coming through the HDMI by itself. And here's the interface that I have. So this is my interface. It's basically pretty easy. So to change scaling mode, I do this, and there's nearest neighbor, and so on and so forth. So that number down here, Tom selects a scalar 80 through 85, changes the scalar, and then this is my little interface program I use when I'm developing stuff with FPGAs. These constants let me program test vectors. So if I want to change these values, like by changing the 7 here, I can change how wide the display looks. Here, I'll put HQX. Now I'll keep HQX off. And here, when I hit this constant button, the screen will update, and I can show that. So you can see that pretty well. So here, when I click the button, so now the screen shrunk way down, and by changing this value, I'll cycle through this value real fast. You can see, oh, and I just crashed it. How about that? Oh no, there it goes. So there's that. So that's going in even amounts. Right now this is a 7x width, so I'll put it back on, say, 5, which is more closer to the proper aspect ratio for NES. So obviously all that will be adjustable. So that's how this works, and I have all these. This is for my FPGA video game system that I've been working on over here. These are all the video modes that it does. You can poke and peek addresses, download data, upload data, select the COM port. Right now I'm running at 19.2K baud because that's what this board takes. Without that, it'll run a 1 megabaud, which is pretty fast, and I can change the video mode, do testing. So these are like Master System, Game Gear, Coleco, NES, 2600, Mandelbrot, Intellivision, Odyssey Squared, Adventure Vision, Supervision, SPC Player, Studio 2, Channel F, Video Brain, Arcadia 2001, 7800, Creative Vision, and good old Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Click that if you want Game Boy Color. So right now I'm not using any of that, and this window up here is just showing data coming back from the HDMI board right now. So every time I send something, it just says OK. So this text up here was me debugging earlier, trying to get the data to come out. So that's one of the scalar tables, and so I took all that code out now, so I can clear that. So that's pretty much how it works. So anyways, on the Altera thing here on Quartus 2, yes, I discovered now, as you can see, it says, here, let me close that, it says right here, EP3C10 E144, and the chip on the board is actually an EP3C5, but Quartus doesn't know the difference, and as far as it knows, the two chips are identical, so you can do this. Obviously, I would not recommend this for production. Just use this for development only. So when I release this, I'm probably going to buy the proper chips, just because I don't want any surprises, and I want to make sure it's going to work. So I found that highly interesting. So that saved me a bunch of time, because now I don't have to buy new FPGAs and install them on new boards and all that. So I can continue development through the weekend. And I hope in probably the next couple days I'll have more things up about the extra audio. So that's where the project is at the moment. Everything seems to be going along pretty well, so hopefully tonight the scalers will be done so I can put those to bed, and maybe I'll work on the menu, but I was thinking really of working on the audio first. I want to make sure all those extra channels are going to work. And then I was thinking about adding some type of method through the menu, so if you don't like how loud the expansion audio is, you can change it to suit your taste. And so I'm gonna have to figure all that stuff out now, how it's gonna look, how it'll function, and more importantly in the back end, how it's all gonna work in the hardware, because right now the audio coming out of this is full volume, and the NES, the 5 NES channels are taking up the full bandwidth, so to speak, of the audio. And I gotta kind of fix that, because if you add another chip, I can't just add it on there because it'll clip and sound really bad, so I'm gonna have to change the volume of the NES audio and then the expansion audio, so when I add them together it's not gonna clip. So that's all be in the back end, so I just kind of got to figure out how that's all going to work when you turn multiple chips on, because if you turn multiple chips on, the problem gets worse. Everything has to get quieter, so there's enough overhead or enough headroom to do that. Yeah, there's not much else really that'll be easily visible. Oh yeah, the other thing everybody's been asking about, scan lines. Yes, scan lines are going to be in there. I have not left them out. I've just been working on the scalers. I want to get that put to bed, because then after the scalers are done, then I can start working on the scan line generator. And hopefully the scan line generator is the last thing I really have to finish up before the video itself is actually done. And I was looking at my monitor here, and yes, the video is not quite centered on the screen. Yes, I know that. It's because when I added HQX, the video pipeline got really long, so now it's delaying all of the graphics by quite a few pixels now, because it takes 12 pixels worth of time to process this HQX scaler. So well, that's just what happens. The HQX scaler took at least 12 clock cycles to make up its mind and finish the scaling, so now the picture shifted over that much, and the menu system, that adds more delays, and scanline generator will add yet more delays, so the picture will keep shifting to the right. I mean, I can easily fix this in software, but I'm just waiting until I'm done, so I don't have to keep refixing it. So once I get done, I'll calculate how many clock delays there are, and then I'll take that out in the software, and it will recenter the picture and should look fine. So that's where I'm at. And the other thing you may have noticed, some weird kind of like glitching on the right side of the screen when I was playing the Mario 3 here on the video that I actually recorded on my capture card. That is totally normal. That is just if you have a regular TV and you're using your regular unmodified NES, and you can actually see that same artifacting on the right if your TV shows a significant part of the overscan. So I always used to, when I was a kid, I always used to see that, and I always was wondering why, because up in the first bonus level where you go up in the clouds with all the coins, I was always amused because when the coins appear on the right side of the screen, they show up blue until the coin actually gets farther on the screen, and on this you'll see that exact same thing. So in the menu I will add settings so you can crop the top, bottom, left, and right to get rid of some of that, because most games put things in the overscan because normally you couldn't see it and there wasn't really a lot of option. They pretty much had to do it that way. So I'll have the cropping. It'll probably be on default, by default, like 8 pixels on the left, 8 on the right, and say 16 on the top and and I think 8 on the bottom. I was looking through some emulators, and that seems to be kind of the consensus, but of course it'll be fully configurable, so if you want to see every single pixel, you will be able to. If you want to see all those pixels, you don't have to. It's just the option will be in there. Everything's all option driven, so you know, if you want that stuff on the menu, it's in there, so nothing is fixed. You don't have to just put up with it. If you don't like it, turn it off, turn it on. So that's pretty much where it's at right now. So in probably another couple of days I'll make another update, hopefully with sound. I may start posting videos of it capturing, because now the sound works again, because I lied to Cordis and told it, hey, I'm using a bigger chip, and it seems to be working because the audio is working on this and the scaler is too. So now my chip went from 98% full, now it's only up to like 60% full. So now I can use the debugger again and keep working on this without having to take stuff out or upgrade my board at this point. I will have to upgrade the board, but I can hold off another probably week right now. So yep, that's pretty much that. And on the circuit board itself, the circuit board is pretty good at this point. I found about 5 or 6 minor things, so I fixed those. So the next time I order boards, they should be production quality. I'll probably change the breakaways, and I may even depanelize the board and go with 3 separate boards and just buy them that way. I'm not sure yet. I'm still working on that. So that's pretty much the hardware side of things, and the way it hooks up and all that hasn't changed yet. I don't think that's going to change. I may buy some custom flex circuits for various models, like if you have a front loader or a top loader, you can buy a, or when you get the kit or when it gets installed, however that's going to work. The flex circuits will fit really nice in there, so you won't have like big long ribbon cables snaking all over inside. It'll be all really nice and neat looking, and it'll look really professional, I hope. Yeah, I'm just trying to eliminate all the wiring mess of other types of mods I've seen where you have to like run your own wires and all that. So, oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to touch on, the HDMI connector. No, you cannot move the HDMI connector. I hate having it on the side of the top loader, but physics pretty much dictates that's where it has to be. I really wanted it on the back too, but the problem with putting it on the back is there'd need to be another circuit board or something back there, or I would have to totally change the form factor of the board, and there's just not enough room back there with that big heat sink and all that, so I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do on that. So for now, the connector has to come out the side. No, you can't take the connector off the board and add wires to extend the connector, because the signal rates at 1080p are extremely fast. The pixels are flying over that wire at about 150 million pixels a second, and then when you do the HDMI, it multiplies the bandwidth by 10 to get it over the wires. So you're talking about a 1.5 gigahertz signal going over the stupid HDMI cable, and there's 4 of those signals, and so you may be able to get it to work in certain cases where if you extend that connector, it may work on your TV and your monitor, but if you change your cable, get a longer cable, shorter cable, different monitor, it may not work. And obviously that for me shipping this device, that's a bad thing. You know, it has to work in all the time, and obviously I will test these before sending them, but it must work always. So that's why the cable cannot be extended. I mean, like I say, you may be able to get away with it at 720 or even 480 you probably can. 720 maybe, 1080 probably not. So I highly recommend don't try it. Don't try this at home. So and the other issue, if you were to extend those wires, all the wires must be the exact same length. Length really matters, because all those signals must arrive at the monitor at the same time. And if they don't, you'll get weird things like R, G, B. They won't line up anymore like the R and the G and the B. They may be offset, or they may look sparkly. You know, that's probably the kind of thing that you probably see happen, and you have to use twisted pairs, and it has to be the proper impedance, and so yeah, just don't try this at home. So that's pretty much that. On the front loader, you probably will be able to mount this on the back, so the connector comes out the back. I was looking at this, and it looks like if you cut a post inside the system, the board will sit nicely on the bottom there, and the connector can come right out. The reason I didn't mark that on that template I made is because I didn't know. I had to get the boards, and the top loader actually measured and all that. In the front loader, I couldn't really do that, so that's that. Yeah, hopefully another couple weeks or less, and this code will all be done. So hopefully this weekend, or tonight even, the goal tonight is to finish video, and that means the scalers are all done, they all work, so I gotta add scan lines, and I really want to do bilinear interpolation. I had that on there, I took it out because I ran out of space, and when I did the HQX scaler, my scaler actually does all of those modes right now. The same hardware in the FPGA is performing all of the scaling functionality now, so it does not cost any extra to include Scale X and the HQX and the nearest neighbor. They're all using the exact same hardware, so that's why on the screen when I was changing modes, you could actually see it update, and the picture wasn't moving left or right because everything is all the same, so that's really good. So I'm going to try and shoehorn the bilinear scaling into that HQX module also, and then everything's all in there. So if you want to change scaling, you just load a different tables into the FPGA, and it does it. So that's what the code I wrote last night did, is it loads all those tables off of the flash ROM that's on the board. There's a flash ROM on the high def NES adapter board, and this holds the FPGA data, and now it's also holding these tables. So, and there's some more room left on there, so I think I probably will do, when you're in the audio setup mode, I will let you play, say, like NSFs. I'll have some NSFs or similar on there, so if you want to check out what all the chips sound like, hopefully I will have that. I need to get on the message board and see if anybody wants to help me, like with example tunes or whatever, because I'll have to take them and convert them and put them on here, because obviously this device does not play NSFs, so I will make register dumps, put them in that flash memory, and play the register dumps back through the chips on the FPGA, and it should work. So that's pretty much the update for now. So another probably couple days I'll probably post another one, and in the meantime I will probably, once everything else is working, all the scaling and all that's done, I'll post an actual video of that on YouTube through the capture card. And yeah, some people ask, that's a PEX HD cap, I think it is, StarTech. It does 720p, 60 frames a second. It'll do 1080i, 30 frames a second, but that's not really helping here because I really wanted to show that 60 frames a second. And the video on YouTube I posted does show that, but unfortunately you have to use Chrome. If you use Chrome and view the video, it will be 60 frames a second. If you use Firefox or anything else, it will not. It will just show up as 30, so just keep that in mind. So, yep. Till next time.